welcome to another episode of Manufactured in Africa. Hi, Tatenda. I'm so glad you're back.
Yes, friend. We're back.
Yes, we're back. Our last episode had so much chemistry. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I really liked how open you were. And yes, welcome to the series No Ordinary Voices. So today's topic, I want us to tackle what is success. And I want us to define success from our point of view because I believe success is subjective to each individual. And the reason why I wanted us to talk about this is I came across this quote on LinkedIn, a page that I follow, which is called Community of Seven.
Yes.
And they said real success is equal to work hard and be nice to people. And they were like, do you agree or do you disagree? And I found myself wondering, what does success actually mean to me? And I wanted to have that conversation with someone else who might actually want to give their perspective, because I've had this conversation. Well, I've asked this question before, and people give different definitions of what success is to them. And I think it's very imperative for us to speak about it, especially in our context, because we come from cultural backgrounds or like hardcore black families that are rooted in certain ways, and our definition of success might just be money, or it might just be, I don't know what other people define success as, because I found myself thinking success is actually being able to afford a BMW because I want one, you know? Exactly. Yeah, but let me give you an opportunity to say your thoughts on what you think success is or what your definition is, and then we can tackle this topic.
But I think, you know what, friend, actually, just coming back to what you've said right now, a lot of the things that influence our definition of success, obviously, is the environment that you grew up in, right? So, but I've been getting a lot of pressure of late, where people have been asking, so why aren't you married yet?
Exactly, as if marriage is success.
Every time you have success,
right? Or why don't you have children?
Why don't you have children? You are una 30 months, you know, that kind of a thing, you know, biological clock time is ticking and stuff like that. So one thing I've seen is, in as much as I've sat down and I have tabled what I want for myself and how I define my success and where I want to find myself, maybe at 25, at 30, at 30, and things like that. One thing I'm realizing is that, you know, you might have all of these things, you might have ticked all of these things from your diary or from your journal, but people will still look at you and be like, oh, okay, you live in a mansion, but again, I'm Duana. You live in a mansion, but then, oh my God, or you have no husband, or you drive a BMW and stuff like that, you have no children. So I think, obviously, from a family setup kind of view, from where we are coming from and the environment we've been raised in, everything else, but at the end of the day, family values. You have to have a child, you need to have a nuclear family that you are, you know, raising and siring kids of your own and stuff like that. But personally, for me, I have things that are tabled, you know, I've written down and be like, you know what, and for me, I think, you know, when I'm big on academics, I think, you know that, so for me, obviously, you know, getting my master's degree, you know, getting my PhD, obviously becoming a professor and stuff like that, are some of that I feel like, you know what, define success for me. Healthy friendships, you know, for me it's success.
And we forget those things, the soft things, like your friendships, having healthy good relationships, and having good health. No one sees that as success. And the funny thing is, you took me back to conversations I usually have on the Eastern Cape. And funny thing is, just last week I was telling a friend of mine that I'm not sure if I want to have children. Like, could I be a successful parent, or would I be a good parent? Because sometimes we equate success to being good or a good person. And I realized that in as much as I may have wanted children before, or I may have the desire to be a mother, or I may have that nurturing yearning, but I'm not sure if I want to be a mother. I'm not sure if that's something I want.
And it's okay to feel that
exactly. But every time I go back home to the Eastern Cape, my aunts will be like, why don't you have a child? Do you know that you can have all the money in the world, but you have to leave that money to someone else?
Yes.
And they'll be like, and I remember my late aunt actually had a whole discussion with me where she was like, doesn't matter, Mtanam, even if you're not married, as long as you have one child at least. And I was like, and my mom actually, a person who strongly believes in marriage, was like, yeah, sis, you could be right, you know. She was like dilly-dallying around the fact that, oh, I could have a child out of wedlock.
It's funny. It's funny because similar story. So I have an aunt, you know, she's a deacon at the church where she goes to. So okay, so where's the girlfriend? Obviously, you know, the reasons why I don't have a girlfriend that's not to me. I don't want to explain to them because when I open, you know, a whole new thing and I have to explain myself. Okay, sharp. Now the next thing is like, you know what? Should we look one for you?
Why? Okay. I can fight. I'm perfectly capable. Exactly. I know. I'm just like, what?
I'm like, okay. Yeah. Now the third one. Now, actually, you know what? Just find someone whom you can impregnate. That I mom Diko when
I
say what about, you know,
exactly, and all of that, those godly principles, girl. Threw them out the window.
What's happening? Did I when I can? Because now I'm also thinking as well at the stage where I am right now, friend. I am barely, well, for myself I can make it work.
Yes.
But then obviously bringing another person into your life and siring a child, responsibilities come up.
Exactly.
You know, they literally responsibility, you know, they grow and stuff like that.
Exactly.
If I'm barely making it as an individual,
how
and
much
more?
I
don't have a house of my own and things like that. How much more now when I'm bringing another person
into that space?
And stuff like
exactly.
That. So at the end of the day, it's really about you. Do you know where you're going, what you want, and how to get where you want to get, right? Younger lando, pressure and all of those things and stuff like that. You can find a way of managing it or ignoring it.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you are the person who knows
what you want, where you want to go, what's your roadmap. Actually, from this conversation, one thing, when you first started talking, I realized that in my family, we've never defined success. But we all know that education is success. Yes. So it's that thing about education is the key to success.
It will unlock
exactly. And in as much as, for me personally, education has worked, and for some of my family members it has worked.
Yes.
But I've seen it not work for other people. But then another point I realized while we were talking, that success is actually different, like in the social setting, in the family setting, in your academic life.
So are you saying there are facets?
Yes.
Facets
of success. Yes. Because I mean, you could be a person with many friends, but none of them are your friends. You could be friends to many people,
but they are
not your friends with you. So do you have successful friendships?
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
You can have a job that gives you lots of money, but you can be unhappy in that job.
Are you happy in the workspace?
Exactly.
Is the environment, you know, non-toxic?
Are you successful?
Right?
Exactly. And then you could have, in your academics, you could be getting distinctions, but then you might not be fulfilled by those distinctions because maybe you're studying something that you don't like. So
those distinctions, are they opening the doors that you want?
Exactly.
Because you could be sitting on distinctions.
Exactly.
But guess what? You know, you're not getting that dream job that you've always wanted.
Exactly.
But then we've been telling you that I'm biased already.
Exactly.
You know, it's gonna open doors.
So for me, that's why I think it's important to have the conversation about success. And I think we're not gonna compartmentalize and say success in friendship, success in relationships, success at work.
Yes.
But we need to actually start thinking about, when should we, as well, you and I are black, as black people, when do we start having the conversations of what success is, and when do we allow the child, or because I don't think I've ever defined to my parents what I would deem as success, or if I were to achieve this, then I would deem myself as successful. Yeah.
But you also, I think also it also has to do with exposure, because, well, I'm a village boy. I grew up in the village, and the exposure that I had in the village, the only thing that my mother would emphasize on me is like, your only way out of this is through an education ticket.
Exactly.
Right? Of course, there were options for being an entrepreneur. My grandparents, they were farmers and stuff like that. So obviously they were entrepreneurs in their own rights.
Yes.
But for me, it was never appealing for me to want to become a farmer.
Exactly.
But in its way, and that entrepreneurship route was success in a way. They were successful in their own right. But then for me, mine was just one dimensional. I had to get the educational ticket, and then that was my ticket out of the space. So I think it's also because of exposure that I grew up in, and then eventually coming to a space like South Africa for me, my journey wise, where my eyes were then opened to other things, and as you are saying, Brenda, at the end of the day, we can't really say probably there's a uni definition for it, but then maybe just touch here and there.
Exactly. I agree with you totally, because I, for one, I had the same experience, because my mom was a village girl, and then she went on to a teaching college, and then after teaching college, and she actually wanted to do medicine, but because of finances, she couldn't. But I guess she still does healing in her own way through psychology for kids at school, and also she does a lot with like food, making sure that people eat the right food. She advises, but I think for her thing was she drilled it into us that education is the key. But now what happens when you have a creative child in the family? I'm not saying that creative people shouldn't go to school, but what happens if that child is not academically inclined? Because some kids are good with their hands, and they're not academically inclined. Are they then defined as unsuccessful? And I think that's one of the epidemics that we have in the Black community or in the Black society, where children who are not academically inclined are automatically outcast as not being productive citizens or unable to become productive citizens. We outcast them, we make them feel bad for being, and we don't
inadequate.
Exactly. And we don't even explore the fact that that child sings, or that child is good with reading, or that child, because even schools in South Africa particularly, we don't do, like, my mom used to tell me when they used to knit, they used to sew.
Those vocational schools where you can go and explore
and use your hands.
Yes.
I think when I was in grade 9, that was the last year that they had woodwork in schools, and they phased it out. So what happens to that child? And I think it's important I emphasize again that this conversation about success is important, that parents have it with their kids from a young age, that a child defines their own success. I was telling my brother the other day that, you know what, in as much as everyone may think I'm successful just because I have a master's degree, I for one don't feel I'm successful, because I'm not in a place where I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm happy, I'm free. Exactly.
To want to do the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
And I'm even spread your wings within that particular environment.
Exactly. I like my job, not gonna lie. I like my life. I like the privilege.
Bills have to be paid.
I like the privileges that I have.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, would I say I'm successful because I have a job, or is success me being able to? Because my biggest goal, or my biggest dream that I'd like to achieve, is to be a person who can create an environment that's conducive for other people to do the things they want to do, and help them be economic in the things. I don't know if am I making sense?
Things that they are passionate about.
Yes.
That they want
like
to do.
Exactly.
Because passion drives you.
Exactly.
And you can actually make money out of passion, because like you were saying right now, that you could be one thing I've learned along the way was, I'm just going to refer to our previous conversation, there were things that I was competent in, but I don't think I was necessarily passionate about.
Yes.
So competency versus passion.
Yes.
At the end of the day, passion always,
trumps. Exactly.
Trumps.
It drives you, not trumps.
It drives you.
You can't need passion.
Obviously, it drives you. But then, as you were saying, when I was waking up to go to site at 7 o'clock, oh God, I'll just be like, I have to go to that place again. coupled up with the toxic environment,
Yeah.
already in jail, something else. But now,
Jonga, even is
yeah,
like the weather, like yes.
It's agreeing. But now I've seen when I wake up, now that I'm now in the academic space where I eventually gravitated towards. When I wake up, I feel like yes, what I want to do. It's challenging, but I want to do it. Anyway, I digress. Let me go back to your previous question. I think we need to make the environment conducive. You've seen, I think you've already identified that, what, probably for us as Black families, probably because of the generations that walked before us, they saw that, education is the key to success.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you even see, even when we are speaking to our friends, you'll be like, yes, I can see you like playing the guitar,
yes,
but friend, you must still go to school.
Exactly. Like, the guitar is not going to feed you.
Yeah,
and that's the sad thing is that we say that because you and I don't know how to monetize those guitar skills.
And because or the voice,
exactly,
the music or the beating or whatever
exactly.
it is that you know.
And I think education into not necessarily just the art space, just us as a community learning to understand that people have different talents and those different talents need to be harnessed is something that's important for us to delve into and work towards building up and making sure that children don't fall on the wayside, because a lot of creatives get frustrated because they don't know how to, like, I mean, not everyone's gonna know how the Doppler effect works in physics. Absolutely. Or how to debit and how to debit or credit in accounting.
Yes.
But some people just genuinely want to design nice clothes. They want to draw.
And the funny thing, I think also our mindset and our attitude. So let me just tell you a story. So my sister and I, we have a small age difference. So there's my brother and then there's my sister. So I'm very close to my sister.
Yeah.
So growing up, she was very good with plating, bread, and all of those things. So when people used to come, so actually my sister used to do that. So you find that sometimes during the weekend we'd have 2 clients coming in for that, and I would help her, with plating, and I was very good with that. But now community members now would laugh at me.
Yeah.
To a point where eventually like.
Yes, and because it's gonna destroy your self-esteem, your confidence.
Yes, because you really enjoy this thing and you can make money out of it.
Exactly.
And it's funny now when I eventually left high school and I went into university, I made friends along the way. A friend of mine, he's male, he's running a very successful salon. A very successful salon. He does nails, does hair, and he's making money, and
exactly. So and when you stop, I've seen like a lot of men from East Africa. I know Malawian men, they do those nice twist braids, and they do it for like 800, and I'm just like, if you can make 800 in 4 hours,
I could have paid off my face.
Exactly,
like, I could have opened the mini dance again, So it's one of those things. So our attitude should change. Exactly. And I think also because we are trying to tackle a very big problem because it's a very attitudinal problem. But now we now know.
Exactly.
So what are we going to do
about
with the information, to help people change their mindsets and their attitudes and realize and recognize talent and try and niche and support it?
Yes.
Yes.
I was speaking to, I think, another episode I uploaded a while ago, where I was talking to Londi when I was asking her about her journey into, because she didn't go to the School of Arts because the rest of the family was like, where's security in that way? And I think it's about time we break those stereotypes that people can't do the things they're passionate about because they're not going to have money. Because at the end of the day, that's why we have so many people walking around with mental illnesses.
And it's very bitter and very angry because you did something to make Abazali proud and happy, but chances are
you're unhappy. And that's why we have a lot of teachers who don't care about children, because teaching was just an aside job for them. It was something they could land on because they couldn't get to where they needed to get to. Yes, which is quite sad.
So then sitting with our curriculum, because I also feel like, to be honest with you, our curriculum is very hostile.
Exactly,
right?
And very rigid.
And very rigid in terms of supporting people. So you might get through an arts school. I know, for example, we have National School of the Arts here. You might get there, But now the other thing now is the policy making part of it. How do we protect artists? How do we protect?
Exactly. I think we're moving away from our topic of success, but I think this is an important
I think
point.
maybe we can table it for a different conversation.
But I do think it's an important conversation. It's just unfortunate that here in this panel, or the two of us, we didn't study arts,
Yes.
and unfortunately we can't find ourselves working in that space. Well, we could potentially find ourselves working in that space if Singama Comrade.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have those ties. But in essence, honestly, when I speak to people in the art space, they're people who are really passionate about changing policies. For example, I had like in Koboli last year.
Yes,
he was
the
talking.
actor.
Yes, he was talking about how they are trying to make sure that actors will eventually get royalties, like the show Friends in the US. The actors on that show still make money on the reruns to this day. And I think that I read somewhere that show has made over $2 billion US dollars, and the actors still get their millions. And that is something that he was saying he's working towards in this space. And I remember my cousin as well. The part got cut out where he was talking about Wanda was here a couple of weeks. He was talking about how he wants to also be into policy making. When the time is right, he will insert himself in that space because he studied film and arts as well. And I think we need advocates like that for people who will move forward and make sure that artists are protected in the country. And I was seeing Natin Tetwa, he did a what's this? An inquest or an inquiry or some investigation into funds that were supposed to be for artists by the National Arts Council. Yes, and he was like, apparently the money was misused, but he's saying that people will be brought to book. So I think the country as a whole, in essence, we're moving in the right direction. But I guess that's something we should keep our ear on the ground on, to just understand where the art space is going, where people exactly. So we can go back and educate our people in our communities that, hey, you can be an actor and make money, you can be a singer and make money, you can make your beads and sell to tourists. For example, there's the restaurant Sakumzi Soweto Vilagaz. That guy has serviced people all the way from America, the Netherlands, Europe, everywhere, serving them food that in my family we eat every night. Like like inyama, like the chicken that runs.
The
and he's making money out of things that
delicacies, our African delicacies, right?
Exactly.
And we're making money from that.
Exactly. And the other lady who I interviewed, she is making food in the UK for like African food. She cooks.
So your target market is, because when I had that taste of home, although
yes. So I think if we showcase those people and we showcase how people can make money, and we have these examples, and that's why this channel, I believe, is so important, because it reveals these things to people that it's possible, that you can be. I actually had Umapula this other time to his sister, where she was talking about running, that you can make a career out of running. How, like, I didn't even know you could start a running club and then you could be a runner and you can get money. And you get sponsorships from big brands like your Nedbanks, your Nikes.
I know right now there's someone on my Twitter, I think he's an advocate, Utumesul. Yes, but he is partnered up with Bonnet Banks and stuff like that. And I think, I think he's a brand ambassador. But basically what you're saying, that at the end of the day, we didn't know, information needs to be disseminated so that people know that. But just coming to what we're talking about, so what I'm gathering right now, friend, is that yes, we might have our definition of success. Yes, you might have an idea of how to get there. But what we're figuring out is there are challenges now that are on the way, hurdles. when you encounter those hurdles and you don't overcome them, then us, the backstanders who are watching from a distance, then we'll be like,
Exactly.
but that time, you know what, you have a vision, you know how to get there.
Exactly.
But now how to get over obstacles and hurdles.
Yes.
So, yes.
And I think it's actually important that you bring up that the naysayers will always be watching to say, oh, they have fallen, or exactly.
Where is she going? She's not going anywhere. But you personally, you have your vision, you have everything written down, you know how to get there and stuff like that.
Because going back to the examples we made, our family members might not be actually saying, oh, you have failed because you don't have a child. But in essence, that's what they're saying, that you may have achieved academically, you may have this big house in Santon, you may be driving a BMW, you may be able to afford to go to Dubai whenever you want to go to Dubai, but you failed because you're not married, you failed because you don't have a child, you failed. So there's always going to be some level of failure, and yet people don't know what your plan is.
And sometimes, you know what, this algorithm has been set for you. So I was telling a friend in the other day, you know, there are people who have gotten from point A and then they've gone to Z and then they've come to B.
Yes.
So for example, for me, A to Z would be after high school, unfortunately maybe I get married. Because that's what I want.
Yes.
Right? Then Emendweni, I then decide to go to school. That's point B now for me. I'm coming back there. Whereas with some of us, you know, you even skip E, F, G. For me, EFG would be skipping marriage because I don't want it.
Exactly.
Or would be not firing it out because I don't want it.
Exactly.
And my friends,
it's a choice.
And my friends, they keep on saying, no, don't worry, you're going to change your mind. I am telling you, and
exactly.
Like in the can go.
Exactly. And like for me, and I agree with you fully, because for me, I'm like, I will bring a child into this world, a world that I see is such a tough world, it's such a horrible world. You can't even leave your child for 1 minute with somebody that you trust, that you pay to live with your child, that you will build rapport with, and you will have a good relationship.
And you can't even protect your child from yourself.
Exactly.
Because there was a topic trending last week. So someone said, I don't know, someone posted something.
But do we really want children, or we just have them because they are mistakes? Because and then they name their child, said he's really pissing me off. He thinks I love him, or I like him because he thinks I like him because he's my child, but I just love him because he's my child.
And I'm now forced to, because this is a responsibility.
Yes.
And that time you don't even know how to love
children. Because now you probably were the way you were loved. Wasn't really the right way.
Very messy. So, because obviously I'm going to transfer the knowledge and the experience that I was passed on by my parents. That's how I'm going to, you know, unless maybe I take exercise to do the work.
Exactly.
And I don't know, and heal from past traumas and want to do better. So, at the end of the day, with your success, sometimes, you know what, it might not necessarily be someone else's definition.
Exactly.
It might not necessarily be conforming to this algorithm that has been preset by people who have walked before us. But then again, because now I'm watching from the backbenders, I'll be like, ooh, you know, yes, I understand that.
That's true. That's true. And funny thing you should bring that up, because I was also like, this whole love thing. I was like, I've been doing a lot of self-introspection. I've been doing a lot of self-introspection, and I was trying to figure out, like, I'm not a very emotional person. I don't know how to be warm and fuzzy, and that's also one of the reasons
in the relationship and all of those
things. And that's also one of the reasons where I'm like, would I be able to have a child? Because I understand, like, I think a lot of people see me interact with my nephew and they think I could
because she is effortlessly good with the nephew, then she's gonna be effortlessly good with what
Exactly. But I think that is a misconception, because with my nephew, it's different in the fact that I know I can always take a break.
You return at the end of the day.
Exactly.
I'm the mama.
And I'm just like, but like, that's the thing.
Yes.
We should be allowed to not
want certain things.
Exactly. And still, but I guess also this begs the question, why do I need other people to validate my success? Because if I'm like, we should be allowed, then I'm simply saying that someone from outside me
has to
validate that I am successful. And yet I also want to come with the point that I need to come with my own definition of success.
Yes, friend. One thing for sure that I've seen is I was actually self-introspecting as well.
So we're growing up.
Yes, well, I'm growing pains, and but I was telling myself, at the end of the day, so it's something that has to do with family. So it's a decision that I've been making, and I have to rock in my family about it. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. Man, I don't need them. But Nancy into you are gonna go home at some point in time in December.
Yes.
These things are going to be brought up. Although you are wholesome and complete with your decisions, but it's annoying now because there's an extended family aunt who's gonna come and
Exactly.
how many kids do you have by now? I was 0.
At
your age, I had 3.
I never understand these people want to have children, other people to have children, as if they're gonna feed them, they're gonna love them, they're gonna clothe them.
Oh, a cousin will be like, hey, Candy, you're still repeating your 3rd year.
Exactly.
Because I had that, during my time. That's how I ended up, actually cutting my circle, because my circle was too big.
Yeah.
And I had friends who were successful in their own right at that particular point in time. But I was you're not doing a PhD. And it's in a very mocking manner.
Were those people really your friends? That's why we need to define healthy friendships.
Friendship. So I started to mess and as a friendship.
Yes.
And then Kwasala, obviously, the ones that I felt like they were serving me, and I also serving them as well. So I also had to ask myself, am I being a healthy friend
as well? Yes.
Because again, to me, that's a measure of success. As much as I want other people to be healthy around me,
I also need to be healthy around other
KPI.
people. Exactly. Yes. And I think that's what that's what I like with most of my now relationships, friendships. They're healthy in the sense that if we cannot see each other, or if one of us is not okay to see the other, it's okay, because we understand we have busy lives, and sometimes we just cannot
do this thing every single day.
Exactly. Yes. So, and I think it's important that, man, we need to have boundaries in our friendships, so that we have healthy friendships, and so that we are successful. Because now my one thing is, my tribe, I need, when my people are winning, I feel like I'm winning. So I support my friends. That's the person I am.
Yes.
If my friend, I don't care, my friend could be going to buy a tag, I'll be there supporting the tags. It doesn't have to be a BMW for it to be, I'm not hating on BM, but it doesn't have to be a Porsche or Maserati for me to be excited for my friend.
Yes.
I need my friend, even if my friend decides to go buy a shack, if they feel that's what they can afford, I support that.
And I'm happy about, because whatever you do, for you is an achievement.
Yes.
Right? For me, it might not necessarily be, but then for you it's an achievement. But the happiness and the passion that I see you pursuing, it's a matter of success to you. So as a friend, I think I must come on board. It's not like you're going to stab someone with a knife or something. You're doing, the things that make you happy and that you can afford at that particular point in time.
Exactly.
Maybe, or could say other bigger things are coming along the way.
Exactly.
I will still be there to celebrate you. Yes.
And also, it's the same thing with relationships. This one is a bit tricky, where like your friend will be in a relationship that you think is unhealthy. I think for a healthy friendship, you need to be able to say, I think we need to learn how to be nice. I'm not saying sugarcoat things and be like, but
you are dragging me right now.
Yeah.
You are dragging me, but I will share the sort of thing you think. You are dragging you, what a drag.
But that is like you being a healthy friend and you having successful friendships.
How do you drop certain pieces of information?
Exactly.
When it lands, is it
landing? It should land with love, because sometimes we're very abrupt. We don't know how to. I think this whole success thing goes back to, like you said, it's attitude, emotions, and you being emotionally intelligent. it's
I
about
love this
emotional
word. I love
intelligence and
emotional
self-awareness and being aware. And I think it's important that we teach each other self-awareness from a young age. Actually, now that we're talking about self-awareness, I realize that in corporate you find that because white kids or our white counterparts are taught self-awareness from a young age and emotional intelligence, majority of them,
Yes.
and they are taught to be independent from a young age, they fare much better than us because Tina, we just learn. It's something you learn along the way. There are some black kids who are privileged enough to have that stability and have those relationships and have that privilege of
working on your confidence, working
exactly,
on your self-esteem,
exactly, and understanding yourself,
space,
exactly,
and just your presence,
yeah.
Whereas
Tina, for
we
us,
are very apologetic, we
exactly,
have low self-esteem. We are trying to figure out what's happening,
exactly,
and I think it has an impact on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also these things again attitude issues, and perception, because these things we are not taught because maybe they are not important. They see like we are spoon feeding the kids, or we are treating them like they're eggs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas in self-esteem, it's a very important thing. A child needs to be valued every single day. You need to be taught, to occupy space.
And the funny thing is, when we look at the most successful people, the one common theme amongst them, well, successful will mean the business world, which will be your Fortune 500. In terms of their happiness and other areas, we won't know. But those people, the one thing that they've had is resilience and self-confidence. If they failed, like your Richard Branson, he failed and he rose up. Steve Jobs, he got kicked out of Apple, but he still came. Look at like who's this guy who owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos. He also just started Amazon from nowhere, and then things
but even the confidence to even dare to dream,
exactly,
to even dare to say this is my idea, I'm gonna push it until fruition.
Yes.
I personally, I want to be safe. I believe, I'm a safety net kind of person.
Me too.
So I'll stay in my 9 to 5.
Me too.
So,
like this trying other things, exactly, and rising up again. It's scary because it eats away, and we lose out on the lessons. I remember I was talking to Kalefang, and he said that failure is important in your growth as an entrepreneur or as a person who's starting anything. If you don't fail along the way, you're gonna miss out on the lessons. You're gonna miss out on the things that that would blindside you.
Yes, those blind spots.
Exactly. So failure is important, and that's the thing. Successful people have failed, but then the difference between a successful person and a person who isn't successful
is they have tried.
Exactly. They have risen. Yes. They failed, but they rose up. So that is the difference. But anyway, let's go back to I think I've said a lot. We can go back to what you wanted to say about me dragging you, friendships, and
so we are gravitating towards that. So I have a friend of mine. Your friend, I don't know how to be kind about it, but I feel like I've lived my dreams through the friend. So there are those things that I've failed, that I felt like because I have failed. But then, friend, I want you to do this. I want so much for you. Sometimes when our parents leave their lives through us.
Yeah.
Right? So the friend, his partners or the people he dates, I vet obviously, and I always have an opinion about the people he's dating, and how I say it, because we are coming back to emotional intelligence, and being kind and boundaries and self-awareness. How I always criticize them, it doesn't come out so nicely. So this other day, I think he was fed up with me. So he said it, I was like, what? Honestly now, the way sometimes, you say things, I know sometimes you mean well, obviously when you are you know,
Mm-hmm.
criticizing or talking about, you know, my relationships or the choices that I make.
Yeah.
But then when it lands on me, you know, it's like a spear, literally.
Yeah.
You know, you're stabbing me. So I've learned now to, you know,
exactly, to
what-
be
what-
kinder, to
Kusinganda,
be
what-
yeah.
Kusinganda.
Yes, Nanda, are you learning to be kinder?
I think I'm learning to be kinder, but I'm also
Okay.
learning not to blood my mouth a lot as well, because
Okay.
sometimes I don't think, and also I think because of the lack of compassion and kindness, you just say things.
Yes.
Mm.
And I actually think that for me, success is being compassionate and being kind. And like I said earlier, I would like for me to get to a point where I say I'm successful is when I make a difference in people's lives such that they could look back. One of the things I believe is that because I always say this, I come from one of the poorest regions in the country, and I believe that there's a lot of work that needs to be done there to give people back their dignity, to give people an opportunity to work and have jobs and to be able to provide for themselves.
And help it, basically.
Exactly. Because one of the things that we don't realize is that for a person to be happy and to be able to stand up in a crowd, they need to be able to have money, provide for themselves, and have a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
And so for me,
Adequacy.
if I could achieve, even if it's just 2 or 3 people that I could help achieve their goals and dreams, I would then say I'm successful. I understand the academic glory, the job, the being able to afford certain things for myself, being able to, that for me is not success. That is, I'm always taken back to the story of Moses when God is like, what is in your hand? When Moses is like, I can't, Lord, go take your people out of Egypt. And he's like, what is in your hand?
Yes.
So I
That
feel
very
like,
simple thing.
exactly, that God has given me certain things or privileges that I could use to go back and empower other people.
Yes.
So the day I'm able to be like, I've empowered people, that's when I will feel that I am successful. I have achieved something in my life. And yes, with relationships, as long as I'm in a happy relationship and I'm with someone I love, I think I'll be in a successful relationship, because so many people are in relationships and they are unhappy. People are married but they hate each other. They can't even look at each other.
They're given away that
Exactly.
they're happy, you know? They're
Yeah.
given away. But I think for me, success would be being comfortable with the choices that I make.
Yes.
Yes, being very comfortable and content. Also, success for me would be being content with the opportunities that I was able to seize along the way.
Yes.
Right? So what we're trying to say is, we're trying to say that, of course, there does not be one dimensional about defining the success.
Exactly.
Of course, the academics, of course, the
Yes.
job, you know, the house and all of those things. But at the end of the day, I like how we were able to actually go and, you know, explore other dimensions of success, you know, and seizing the opportunities and being content and being comfortable. So I think for me that would be, you know, another definition of success for me.
I agree. I actually like how you didn't box it. I think actually one of my friends from Kenya, she sent me her vision board. And she was like, ever since she made her vision board, things seem to be aligning. They seem to be falling into place.
Yeah.
And every time she goes back and she looks at the vision board, because she had all these broad, like she wanted a certain character.
Yes.
She wanted to achieve a certain thing in her career.
Yes.
She also wanted to achieve certain things in her relationships.
Yes.
And some of those things were falling into place. And the way you put it, I like it because you've got an overarching theme that I want to be comfortable with the decisions that I make, and me making the right decisions for myself and being content with those decisions will then help me define or will mean that I'm successful.
Yes, definitely.
And it could be anything. It could be a job, it could be a lover, it could be a friend, it could be health. And I think there's nothing more I could say. I love your definition, and I'm gonna close off on that.
Yes.
And I guess we don't agree with the quotes. What was the quote? Real success is, let me see, it's work hard and be nice to people.
that was very
Cool.
rigid.
Yeah.
It wasn't explored. Well, it's for some it's
It's
good, but then
exactly.
we unpacked it.
It's nice that you. I'm not sure about the working hard. Maybe he means be passionate, push, and put all your efforts into whatever you do. Maybe that's what they.
But you could work hard and still not enjoy it. So maybe part of
True.
success also is enjoyment.
Exactly.
Because we do work hard, but sometimes you know what, the way we are so bitter.
Exactly.
And we come back from our 9 to 5s. If you are in 9 to 5, so we come back from academia for those ones who are in academia, whatever it is. But then if you're not enjoying it, but you're still working hard, is that success?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I think for me, real success is being nice to people. Not just nice to people just for the sake of being nice to people, but just being compassionate and kind and knowing that people are going through whatever they're going through, but you must keep a smile on your face and keep it moving. Not just keep it moving as in like nonchalantly keep it moving, but
are you also doing the work?
Exactly.
As you're keeping moving, are you acknowledging that I'm going through the most?
yes.
Are you doing the work to keep yourself, and I don't know, coping and healthy
yes.
as well? Yes. Because we do move, but then when we eventually crash there because we've not been doing the work,
exactly.
you crash.
Yeah. I'm actually so touched by this. Like I didn't know it was gonna be so deep, but
I was worried.
Success is not one-dimensional. That's what I got from today, and that it's multifaceted. You need to define your own success, and obviously you need to be very self-aware and you can't just be like, I'm successful even in my, like, if you decide to just be doing drugs and not be productive. I'm not judging anyone who does drugs, but I'm just saying if you're gonna be
the choices, maybe.
Exactly.
Yes.
So your choices that you make should
healthy.
be healthy. Yes.
Healthy
choices equals success. Yes. But in closing, thank you, Tatenda, for coming through. Thank you for having this conversation.
Thank you for having me so soon. I was just like, when can I go back?
Well, you are back. Yeah. And thank you so much.
And I think, in the next coming weeks or so, we are cooking something.
Yeah.
I won't say much, but I'm hoping we'll cook something.
Yes, we are definitely cooking. But you'll be on the next episode anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll upload it. But thank you for coming.
Thank you, Brad.
People can find you on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
so
everywhere.
I'm no longer on Facebook. I deactivate my Facebook. I deleted, but on Twitter, Tumbet, TSUMBET, all small, _ Instagram, same thing, TSUMBET _
Catch us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. It's Manufacturing Africa. Africa.